Well, hey girl, how's it going?
Hey, Mama. It's going well. How about
Oh,
you?
good. I was just thinking about the holidays and oh Lord, I was reading this article about talking about dysfunction in families for the holidays when they put
Yeah.
us in 10, 20 people in a room with all the different toxic, crazy behaviors and that.
Awkward. Very awkward.
And they think it's going to be a success. Hello. We are just that's craziness, isn't it? They thinking a turkey, a juicy turkey and a clean house is going to make it all better.
Oh, I know. It really is funny. And that's what I stopped by my husband's office yesterday, and there was a lady in there. And so she was asking us what we're doing for Thanksgiving. And she said, "Oh, are you going to go see your oldest daughter in Hawaii?" And I was like, "Oh, wouldn't that be nice?" I said, "No, my husband, he's going to spend Thanksgiving with his mother-in-law who adores him and he loves her and her aunt and her first cousin." And so we were all laughing because, like you said, a lot of times holidays, you bring these random people together and sometimes it can be the loveliest time. And then sometimes you're like,
Sometimes.
what?
Yeah,
I
and the
mean,
funny
yeah.
the funny thing is we're sitting there thinking, "Oh my gosh, we have all these high expectations that everything is going to be just great and we're cleaning and scrubbing the house and then, traffic and they don't show up on time and it just seems like everything goes downhill from there."
Well, it's just funny because I don't know about you, but I've had so many different scenarios with Thanksgiving. And my mind always goes back to the first Thanksgiving that I spent with my husband and his family. And this was before we got married. And this is so funny, Stephanie, but I mean, I was just thinking about this yesterday. So I went to his hometown. We went to his aunt's home. So it was his aunt's family, her children, grandchildren, his grandmother, who was almost 100 at the time.
Wow.
And yes, and the next thing I knew, I mean, this is how how your mind works. The next thing I knew, I was riding a horse for the first time. I was up on a horse. Like somebody in their family was talking about horses. And I said, "Oh, I've never ridden a horse." And they're like, "You want to today?" Sure. So, I mean, this
That's
is all
crazy.
this is all Thanksgiving. So I'm out trotting around on a horse, which I mean, years later we ended up having horses, but I mean, it's funny how I mean, can you think back at different, or did you always go to the same place for the holiday?
Yeah, we went to the same place for the holidays. Every year it was going to my grandma's house and she had 7 kids. So it was all my aunts and uncles and they all had a lot of kids and we would ride ATVs and I just loved it. It was just, such a fun family time and we only did this probably twice a year, so it was fun to see all the cousins. But I remember the first time when my husband and I, when we got married, and I was, trying to impress the family, and I had no idea when I made this turkey and dressing and I put it in the oven that it wasn't, I guess, oven ready, and it shattered in the oven. And I don't even know what we ended up making. It was like sandwiches or something. I mean, it was crazy. I was crying and my husband was like, "Life's not over. It's okay." But I felt like it was. So it's all
Yeah,
about perspective, right?
it is all about perspective. I mean, I think every one of my Thanksgivings has looked different. I mean, when I look back, every one of them, it's been a whole different scenario with different people, but it's always memorable, Steph.
It is always memorable. Well, I was thinking this article today and it was talking about like how to, navigate those crazy holiday seasons with your family. And I thought this one was interesting. It said to write down who is going to give you the problem. If it's like Uncle
Ah,
Ed, write it
right.
down and write what the problem is going to look like. And then in your head, create a plan for how you're going to react, which I thought was great role playing, maybe in the mirror, in the bathroom, to just kind of be like, okay, this is what could be potential. And so instead of me just kind of going crazy and then saying something sarcastic, because then I give my power away, right?
Right. So true. Well,
Yeah.
and
So
I've skimmed the article and I haven't gotten past the first paragraph, but but it's so great because I love this. Okay. This is what really cracks me up about this article is that it's common. Okay, it's common to have high expectations when thinking of reuniting with family you haven't seen for a long time. And it talks about having light contact with some people, which cracks
light
me up
contact.
because we all have someone in our lives that we would prefer light contact with. Don't you agree?
Yes, it reminds me a
Yeah.
little bit of Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas
Yeah.
Vacation, when they all know who's coming in. And of course, grandma, as soon as she opens the door, she's asking, like, does this mole, could you look at this mole and see, does it look like it's changed?
Funny. It
Oh,
is true,
Lord.
though. We all have those people. And then, triggered. That's such a buzzword now, too, to have a trigger. An event or something that reminds you of a bad event. It's a trigger. Are you familiar with that word?
Oh, yes. Actually, I was
Okay.
listening to
Okay.
John Jay and Rich on the morning show today, and they were talking all about triggers and how that was a new trend. So you're right on.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think triggers have to be negative because, like I said yesterday, I was thinking about that first Thanksgiving with the Hubs, and that triggered the reminder of the horse ride, and then that triggered when we purchased the first horse. So I don't think triggers. I think the word trigger is getting a bad rap now, Steph. Don't you think?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And when
Yeah,
you think of a trigger, it's like, what is that spark? It's like something that ignites, and it can go left or right, positive or negative. And it
yeah.
absolutely, like a smell of your favorite candle or your mom's, turkey and dressing that tasted like grandma's. And there's so many great triggers out there. So when we talk about navigating family holidays, it's not all bad. There's a lot of good too. A lot of people bring a lot to the table. Did you guys have traditions in your family growing up?
Trying to think if we had true. My grandmother always made biscuits on Christmas Eve, homemade biscuits,
Now,
and
what
I
did you
love
put on that
that.
biscuit?
I loaded it down with honey and
Butter?
what didn't I put on the biscuit? Sometimes there was ham, just deliciousness.
Deliciousness. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
We
All
always
things
had
delicious.
we always had this one aunt, and she would bring this blueberry crusted pie. And that's another thing too,
Mm.
season, instead of doing it all yourself, we could just ask people, like, whatever your specialty is, just bring it. Because even if I had not spotted her in the room yet, I would look on the buffet on the counter and I'd be like, oh, there's the pie. She's here somewhere.
Oh, I love that. And I mean, I'll tell you too, I don't know about you, but I also thought yesterday, I mean, you can tell I put a lot of thought into Thanksgiving yesterday because I was thinking about the people who have been with us in the past who will not be with us this year. And I mean, you miss people. I mean, like little funny things like my husband's aunt used to come every year from Texas and she always had laryngitis. And you knew beforehand when she got there, she was going to have laryngitis, but she would forget sometimes that she had laryngitis. So she would start speaking and then she would remember. But it was so funny.
Oh.
She would always announce that first thing, I have laryngitis. But then, she would forget and start talking and then remember. I mean, it was just, I missed
Have
that. It was
laryngitis,
so
but I don't. It's
fun.
weird. It comes and goes, depending on who I want to talk to or not.
Maybe that was probably why. That was her light contact method.
I remember
Maybe.
growing up with my granny, and she was the funnest. Like, she just loved people for who they were. And that, I think, is a wonderful attribute, is to accept people the way they are and not try to change them, and just love them how they come into your life. She was really great at that. And as soon as you finished your plate, she was always asking, do you want anything else? And you feel as full as a tick. You thought,
Yeah.
I cannot eat another thing. But she would make this incredible. It was like 12 stack layer of the super thinnest layers of this caramel cake. And literally after you ate it, you would see stars. I mean, it was the biggest sugar rush. I think it was like an enforced
Yum.
nap by Granny.
I think that caramel cake is my favorite. What's your favorite cake?
Ooh, I have not had a caramel cake since my grandma passed.
Mm.
So I surely wouldn't try to make that, even though my cousin recently said that Granny had left that recipe and it was so you could barely even read it. And the recipe was like a smidgen of this and a doppel of that. It didn't even say like teaspoons or cups.
Do you have it?
My cousin does, and she's offered to make
Oh.
a copy of it. So I don't
You
know.
should
Should I
get
try
that.
it?
Yes, you should try it. And what I love, if it's in her handwriting, you can have
It
that
is.
printed on like dish towels, kitchen, or
Maybe I could get a
anything.
tattoo.
No.
It's on an index card.
Well, you could always maybe not tattoo the whole recipe, maybe just
The dollop
her
part.
signature. Does she have her signature? I don't know. I'm a terrible person to ask about tattoos. I don't want to, I don't know about them. I don't want one. I'm just not a fan.
I remember on Friends when Phoebe, she was going in with Rachel to get a tattoo. And Rachel's like, oh, what are we going to get? And she's like, don't worry, I'll go in with you. And then as soon as they did a dot on her, Phoebe ran. That would be me. You're not going to get me. You're not going to catch me.
Well, you're not catching me. That's one thing I know. You know how you know certain things? That's one thing I'm 100% on, like 150%. So when my kids, if they mention any of them, they'll say things try to get under your skin. And I'm like, you know what? I hope you do. I hope you get one because I'm going to laugh. I mean, that's what my husband tells them to always get the Chinese symbol for regret. Like if you get a tattoo, you need to get the Chinese symbol for regret because most people at some point later in life regret that they got it. And a lot of them have them removed.
Well, it's funny that you said that because my kids came in the other day and they were laughing so hard, these teenagers. And they were saying that the number one tattoo mistake is people don't know how to spell regret and they get a tattoo and it says regret. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh.
No, I think it's so funny. And a lot of, they have shown, I've read articles about people that go in and they try to get some quote in a different language, but they don't realize that it's been misspelled. Like they have no idea that it says something totally different than what they think that it says.
And don't you know the foreigners are just giggling, sitting on the subway in New York City?
Having the best laugh over it. But the greatest is a friend of mine told me that her sister-in-law got a tattoo that said, I love, and it was whatever her husband's name was. And it was on her lower back.
Okay.
Well, they got a divorce. And so she remarried.
The same name guy?
No. That's what I mean. You just, it's a commitment. And if you're, you got to be ready to commit because if you have a tattoo removed, I know someone that had one removed, it is painful. And she said that you could smell the flesh burning.
Oh gosh.
So you don't want any part of that.
No, that's a trigger.
That's a trigger. Okay, I'll tell you something else that's a trigger. Have you had lunch yet before I launch into this? Have you had lunch or breakfast? Okay.
No, I've had breakfast, yes.
Okay. So, when we had babies, everybody wanted to know, are you going to nurse your baby? Like that was a big deal. Remember that?
I do.
Everybody would ask you, are you going to, which is really a personal thing when you think about it. Why would you ask somebody that? I don't think I would ever ask anybody that, but that was the thing in the 90s. Are you going to nurse your baby? Well, now, do you know what the big thing is?
What?
Are you going to save your placenta? The reason that I ask you this.
What do you do with it?
They eat it.
I thought they were going to say they fertilize a tree or something.
No, no.
Oh.
They eat the placenta, which is so bizarre to me, but it's very popular. It's been popular for about 4 years now.
Well, what will it do for me? Will it make me look super young or like lose 20 pounds? I might be interested in this.
And my friend, you're frozen.
Oh, am I still frozen?
No, now you're back.
So
But
my question is, will this make me lose like 30 pounds quickly? Will it make me look 15 years younger? I mean, I might be interested.
okay, I'm going to tell you the reasons why they do this. They say that it helps with postpartum. It helps with your milk. It helps your milk come in. I'm going to look at this because
Well, how can you eat it? Like, can I stick it in like some chocolate?
okay. You could, yes, they are eating it raw and dipping it in a sauce, or you can cook it.
Oh my gosh, I can't
You
imagine.
can fry it. I mean, there's so many options. You can't even imagine how many options. Okay, here it is. So they say that it can prevent postpartum depression, reduce postpartum bleeding, improve mood, energy, and milk supply, and provide important micronutrients such as iron. There's no evidence that eating but this article says that there's no evidence. But I mean, there are
there's no evidence
that there are benefits. But I mean, it is a huge trend right now. And so the hospital will ask you if you will be leaving with your placenta, which is so crazy.
Do they put it in a jar, a box? Like, how does it? Did they make it a powder? I mean.
I don't know, but now okay, powder, that's kind of interesting because some people will dry it like you dry fruits and then they'll grind it up and put it in a capsule.
I see somebody cleaning out their closet and they're like, hey, I just got rid of this leather shoe. Is this the football? Like, what?
Oh, it's your placenta. Oh, and they're doing artwork with it. They'll dip it in paint.
This is getting worse.
It's so crazy. Okay, but let me tell you. So if anybody is considering this, I'm going to give you a little bit more information on this. They're saying that it can harm you and your baby if you eat your placenta. So I think there are a lot of people that don't realize this, Stephanie. I mean, it's just
like if you eat it all at once or eat a capsule of it.
I don't know. They've gotten on the placenta train. And okay, the placenta, it says that, oh, here we go. They've been known to eat placenta raw, cooked, or in smoothies or liquid extracts.
You know how you go into like Planet Smoothie and you ask for a collagen?
A placenta, please, added to that. Okay, it says that these preparations don't completely destroy infectious bacteria and viruses that the placenta might contain. So the Center for Disease Control and Prevention has issued a warning against taking placenta capsules. I don't know. I don't want any part of that either. So
I am from Alabama and I eat chicken and that's about it.
Yeah.
I don't even eat sushi. So that will not be me.
You do not eat sushi.
No. I don't. To me, it's bait food. Like it has to be cooked and like. But when I go there, I can find some things that I can eat. There's rice. There's shrimp.
That's true. Oh, I love sushi. Okay, well, no placenta for us, but I mean that's a huge trend.
And no tattoos. I mean, how boring are we?
Not having a tattoo either. No, I know. I am pretty boring, Steph. I am pretty boring. So you need to know who you're running with.
Okay, so when we show up to family dinner, we'll talk about placenta and tattoos, and we'll ask people if they have one.
Yes.
Now, just think about it like this. Okay, so I was thinking how family, shows up, and it's just chaos and crazy, and it's exciting, and you always know that, like, Uncle Ed's going to show up, and he's going to flirt with you, and you're like, okay, this is weird.
I've never had that happen.
Never? Oh my gosh.
No.
Really?
Have an uncle flirt with me? No. I'm just getting this mental image of uncles. No.
And so it was funny because they always say in this article, they were saying, make sure that you don't start, talking about the dysfunction of your family and your past history because, you're probably talking to their sister.
a good point. I mean,
So,
so you don't want to talk about religion. You don't want to talk about politics. We know that for sure.
absolutely.
We don't want to talk about those two things. I mean, what's a good topic to bring up? Because, sometimes there will be awkward moments at the table where everybody is completely quiet. Like, do you feel the need when that happens to interject something, some topic, or are you uncomfortable with the silence? That's what I want to know.
Probably with family, there's never been silence.
Mm-hmm.
There's 30 of
Okay,
us.
y'all don't
Everybody's
ever
talking.
have that. You don't ever have that at the table where everybody sits down and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, and then somebody will comment, oh, everybody's hungry. I can tell because it's so quiet now.
We
You
just
don't
all
ever hear
talk
that?
over each other, but somehow we know exactly what everyone's saying. And like the little kids, they're over at the piano bench, and they've got some kind of weird table, and then some of the kids are like, okay, I'm 14 and I should have graduated from the piano bench table to the big table.
I think my husband was about 19 when he graduated from the piano bench to the big people table. That's what he said, at least. I don't know.
Oh gosh.
I'll tell you a topic you can talk about, Steph.
Oh, tell me.
Okay, so Pope Francis says now that dogs can go to heaven. Did you know that? That's a good topic.
Well, of course, all dogs can go to heaven. That's the best part of it.
Yeah,
sometimes you only want the dogs. Oh my goodness.
So funny. Sometimes you only want the dogs to go to heaven. That is so funny. So yeah, you'll see people.
Pope Francis just decided that all dogs can go to heaven.
You're gonna see your dogs in heaven. And I mean, I'm just wondering, what are they going to talk to us when we get there? Will they have a speaking voice or will they still be dogs? What's that going to look like?
Oh, I think heaven will open up and it'll totally be like, hey, you fed me crap dog food. You're sitting there eating peanut butter and chocolate, and I had to watch.
That's my worry, Steph. That's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
You were the best owner I ever had. Oh, this morning I went I usually go for a run, but I'm training for this. This is one of our traditions. We run the turkey trot. It's so funny. I want to say the possum trot, but that's where my family is from.
Yeah.
The turkey trot.
Look, you are highfalutin now in Scottsdale, aren't you?
Oh, I was raised in a single wide trailer. I'm fancy. I'm telling you.
There's no possum trot
in
Arizona.
There's no possum trot. I actually miss it. I do. I miss those things. I just learned so much, growing up in the country, and I was raised on the lake and the exploration. I think a lot of times kids don't have that as much, when you're, say, living behind the Dairy Queen, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what about, okay, so I used to go to the Catfish Festival. How about that?
Heather.
In Mississippi.
You're holding out on us.
I know. I used to attend the Catfish Festival and they had a catfish eating contest to see who could eat the most catfish. And it would always be an extremely large man in overalls that would win.
Oh, and did it come with hush puppies? Because hush puppies and, catfish, they go together, right? It's like all fried foods.
Gosh, I love a hush puppy.
Oh, they're so good. I used to go to this restaurant down in Wetumpka, Alabama. And I can't remember the name of it. It was like a fish, maybe it was the Fish House. And they would bring, how like say at Outback, they bring you bread or something like that. They would bring you hush puppies, a little silver bucket of hush puppies before the meal started.
That sounds fabulous. That sounds fabulous. I'm still laughing about the light contact with your guest.
Maybe I said too much there.
I was just talking
about what if.
So funny. You weren't really talking about your family, of course.
No, not my family.
We would never.
I do not have an Uncle Ed.
No. So, okay, what will you do this year? You're going to be at your house.
Yes. So we moved to Scottsdale to take care of my father-in-law. So my husband was adopted in Phoenix, and he is the only son and only child. And so we came out here. He's like 86 6 years old. So sweet. He's been living with us forever. And then he decided to move to a nursing home, and he's doing great. And that's all the family we have here. No one's coming or going across country because I live 2,000 miles from back home. So that's what we're doing. We're going to cook all the things. The kids have asked this year if I could teach them all the recipes and learn how to do the pumpkin pies. And I've already started last week with mashed potatoes and turkey and dressing. So the kids wanted to make a little bit just to take back to college.
Ah, that's so fun. You could freeze it and pack it all up, couldn't you?
I could. There's 6 of us. We eat it in about 13 minutes. It's gone. There's nothing left over to freeze. What about you guys?
I was going to say, I interviewed this lady one time and she said that she does not cook. She goes, because I'm not going to spend 4 hours on something that's demolished in 10 minutes or less. And I thought, I get that. Don't you?
Absolutely. I have been known to go to Cracker Barrel, about 2 weeks before, just put in your order. And then, for me, chicken and dumplings are hard to make. Some people, they can just whip them out. Turkey, I can do that, but also turnip greens. I love turnip greens. My kids don't. They didn't really grow up on that, but they are super hard to make and taste well. So some of those things I have to go get experts to take care of that for me. What about you?
Yeah, I love turnip greens. We're going to cook here. We'll be here. We will be doing all the things here. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be in Tennessee. And a lot of times we'll go to the beach. Now we've gotten to where we alternate Thanksgiving.
You have Thanksgiving at the beach?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
yes. We do that every other weekend. They did last year, but now 2 years ago, this will crack you up. And I have a picture that I'll send to you because you're not going to believe me without seeing the picture. Lunchtime, we all came in from the beach and I heated up microwave dishes, Stephanie, and I put them on. This is kind of embarrassing now that I think about it. And I laid them all out on the table. And I didn't even transfer them into a beautiful dish. Got out the paper plates. And we ate a microwave Thanksgiving meal, and then we went right back out on the beach.
Okay, and I bet they didn't care at all.
Not at all. I did get a honey baked ham. That was the highlight.
You are fancy.
That was very fancy for that meal.
I love that. And I love the fact that, sometimes we'll just go get those really pretty Thanksgiving paper plates, and I'll just, throw them out. Boom, 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 boom. And the kids are running and grabbing and going, and we're watching some sort of a football game. And, I used to have these expectations that, I wanted everybody to sit down at this table and do this thing at this time. And it would just explode. And it just felt like it ruined the moment. I ruined the moment. And one day I just realized, why am I killing myself doing all this? Nothing is going to be perfect. You can't expect perfection out of imperfect people.
Never.
And we just did what we wanted. Some people wanted to watch the game and take a nap. Others wanted to go play flag football. And it's like, hey, okay, let's just do it, and insert yourself wherever you want to be. And it's all good.
Oh, that's my favorite kind of holiday. I do not like a planned out, like we're going to play this game at 2:00 and then at 3:00, we're going to watch this movie. I cannot do that. I want it to be relaxing. Everybody enjoy themselves. If you want to go take a nap, hey, take it upstairs, take a nap. I'll like a relaxing holiday.
Me too. We work so hard during the year. And then, it's a lot of complexities at Thanksgiving with the people, the food, probably food that we only eat a couple of times a year that's hard to make. And someone will ultimately say, well, this doesn't taste like grandma's food or her turkey and dressing. And of course, you just want to lash out and choke them. But at the same time, they've got a story connected to grandma's turkey and dressing.
True.
And I get that. So,
yes,
we'll let them live another day.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, what about going around the table and everyone telling what they're grateful for? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a great question because sometimes I have anxiety thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Do I have to top that? But I think if we just let people say what they want to say, somebody might be very elaborate, and someone else might be like, I'm happy I have a dog, or
Will you do that
unconditional
this year?
love,
I'm
or
so curious. Are you going to do that? I don't think I'm going to do that to my crew this year.
no, I don't put them on the spot, but typically we'll say like, what was your high and low of the year? And just kind of let people expound on it if they want to. And usually they love to talk about it because it was a good lesson or it made for a great story. So
you'll go around the table and do this.
We'll just start a conversation, and whoever wants to be a part of it can.
Okay.
So,
nothing formal.
Nothing formal, nothing on the spot. I've had family dinners before where, and even fun, just game nights, like we invite all of our friends and there'll be 20 of us in a room, and we'll have a big jar and it'll be full of questions like, what was the first car you ever owned? And we are laughing our butts off about, how whatever it was. And it just is a great conversation starter, but there's no pressure.
Yeah, I like that. We may do that this year. And I bought like a deck of cards at Barnes and Noble. Have you seen these conversation starters?
No, tell me.
Oh, they're great. They're great. And so I'm trying to think of even one question that was on it. Now I can't even think. This is a common theme for me this week. I've done this before already in an interview. Somebody said, let's talk about your book. Tell me one idea. And I was like, wait a minute. Gotta be
Let me grab that book that I wrote, and
that's what I did.
Oh, I actually saw that interview. That was with Gina Neely, right? On her show.
Yes.
What was it called? Bluff City
Life. And she is so lovely. You would love Gina Neely. You would love her.
I am sure I would. I love the interview. So congratulations to her on her show.
Oh yeah, she's great. You would. We're going to get together for dinner sometime, Stephanie. You would love her. And I have not seen. Did you watch her show on Food Network? Have you ever seen?
I did. Yes,
Down
totally.
Home with the Neelys.
Absolutely.
You did. You were a fan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I gotta catch up.
Southern home cooking. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
She has the best recipe for fried chicken.
Have you used it?
Oh yes, I've used it. I'm like,
you hesitated. Why did you hesitate?
I'm like a connoisseur of fried chicken. I love it. All the different ways you can crunch it up, and it's good.
Okay, so, we need to share that with everybody then. We need to share that. That's fun.
Maybe we'll put it in show notes, a great Neely recipe.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the conversation starters. This is for students. And so, there were, what's your favorite class of the day? I mean, that's a boring one, but I mean, there are some that are way more exciting. If you could change anything that you do in your home or your family does, any tradition, what would it be? If you could add a new tradition, what would it be? That sort of thing. Do you do a lot of traditions? Are you big on traditions?
We have a few things that we do traditions on, like our turkey trot. We get up early in the morning, and that starts around 6:30. So we have something like that, and the kids love it. They rally around it. They're like, Mom, did you get us registered for it? And, we get the T-shirts and we get a family photo. And so things like that we love. Like for Halloween, we usually do some sort of like treasure hunt through the city, because they're a little too old now to go trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
So we'll do a hunt through the city with different, my husband will create these little, questions that take them all through town. And then we'll end up at some park somewhere eating pizza. So we do things like that. But
we're not cute.
We're not tied to, tradition, but we do have a couple of things. What about you guys?
I mean, there's some people that are such diehard traditional people that they don't want to step away from, let's say we eat pizza every Christmas Eve. Well, you're not going to get them away from that pizza on Christmas Eve. We're not like that. I think our personalities are so go with the flow. Like you're not going to nail us down on one thing. Do you think?
Absolutely. We're going to be playing that taste the jelly beans. And it's like, this one tastes like placenta. This one tastes like feet.
God, I hope I don't ever bite into a jelly bean.
I hope to God I don't. The kids were playing that one night, and I was like, please God, let me get the buttered popcorn one. Oh God.
So let's talk about this. So 2023 is coming up.
Oh,
Can you believe it?
no.
2023. I mean, I cannot even believe it. And so I want to talk about in an upcoming podcast episode
What?
and so be thinking about this, like and anyone who's listening or viewing, I would love for you to DM us and let us know, like, I want to hear your hopes and your dreams for 2023. I'm so hopeful that it's going to be a great year, and I'm already thinking about it. Steph, are you thinking about it? Have you gotten there yet? Starting to think
Not
about
yet. Not yet. Because the last 2 months of the year, I typically go into a little bit of a hibernation, and I write and reflect about all the goodness that happened during the year and line item some things that didn't go well and what I don't want to invest my time in anymore that didn't have a payoff. So I'm more in
good for
reflection
you.
mode right now, but I'll get there.
That didn't have a payoff. I love that. Huh.
Yeah, it's like, where did you put your time this year? Like every Friday I did this, or every Monday I did that. These are the people I
Yeah.
spent time with. And it was like, and yay. So did they bring life to me, or was it like, did they suck it from me? You know, maybe it's just more of an assessment of my year.
Well, and I just want to be so intentional with the way I feel like the older you get, the more intentional you become with your time.
You know, I love that you said that, because I was listening to an interview by Donald Miller the other day, and he was saying, he just wrote a book, can't remember the name of the book, but he is such a good writer that he's an author of like a 1,000 miles and I don't know, he's an adventure guy. So anyway, look at his books.
I love
They're
his
really
books.
great. But Donald Miller, he was saying, be intentional with your life, because he said, throughout years and years before he even married and had kids, he had this dog that he loved. They did everything together. And that dog was there with him when he was going through depression and wondering what his life was going to look like. And then when he got married, he had his first child. And then he said, that my best friend died. And he said, I had that dog for like 12 years. And he said, my biggest thought is, we'll just call the dog's name's Ruby. I can't remember.
Okay.
And he's like, I might have 2 Rubies left. He's like 55 years old or something.
Right.
Sorry if it's wrong. But he said, I feel like I've got 2 Rubies left in my life. What am I going to be intentional with? When I give my time, when people call me to be involved in something, every time you make a decision, think, is that worth one life of Ruby?
Yes,
so definitely...
I love that, because I have considered that myself with dogs. It's funny that the story, have you not considered that at this point?
Oh, absolutely. It's like, where do I want to put my time and effort? Because every time when I say yes, I'm saying no to me or something else. So it has to be like really important.
Yeah. And for me, I don't have time for people who are not authentic.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've decided. I've made a big decision as far as that goes, that I have zero tolerance for that, for put on. I don't want anything put on. I just want to be around very sincere, authentic people like you.
Like me?
Like you. I'm serious. I just have no time for anything else. Absolutely. I'm very intentional about that, who I spend time with. I'm very intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this morning I was walking with my dog, but he's used to me running, and my husband even runs 4 miles every morning. So the dog, he's a doodle, and he's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And when I'm just walking, it's like, oh, woman, you are so boring. So she grabs her own leash with her mouth, and she's pulling the whole time trying to get me to run. And I thought, I have surrounded myself with some really great humans and dogs because they are just trying to pull me to be greater,
Right. Those are the people you want to be around, though. Those are
Yeah.
the people that inspire you and make you want to be the best version of yourself.
Well,
That's who
you're
you
that
need to
way to
spend
me,
time
Heather, too.
with.
Every time I see you, you're such a delight
Oh,
and you're
thank
so
you.
fun. And, you're just everywhere now with your book, too. It's just amazing. I saw you on a couple of shows this week.
Oh,
I'm waiting for you to be on the Today Show with Hoda.
oh, wouldn't that be fun?
Yes, that would be
Call
so
me,
great.
Hoda. Let's do
Call her.
this. Yeah. Stephanie will come with me. It would be
Oh
so
my
fun.
gosh. New
It would
York
be so
City, here
fun.
we come. I don't know if New York is ready for us.
I don't think New York can
I'm
handle
ready for
us.
you.
I know the first thing we would have to get the t-shirt. First thing. First thing we would have to
We
get the
get a
t-shirt.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
I'm so
Have
excited.
to. We would have to. The I Love New York t-shirt. That would be
Yes.
our first thing. So, yeah.
And I'm all about mugs, so I would get a mug. Right now,
Yeah.
I'm drinking out of one that says Chaos Coordinator because that is so my life.
Oh, I think it's everyone's life right now. The week before Thanksgiving,
Oh my.
we are looking. You want to go do your grocery shopping today. Don't wait
Oh.
another second.
And you know what is usually missing when I go to the grocery store? And last year, I don't know if it was a supply chain issue. I went to 4 different grocery stores looking for cream, just like heavy whipping cream, like for mashed potatoes. And the price on that whipping cream is just outrageous.
$52, 52 to $52.99.
You're like, give me 2.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of groceries, that just, my mind went right to the gas station. And then I thought about, okay, so my car alerted me yesterday. The sensor said that my right rear tire is low. Now, Stephanie, I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but I have never used that little tire gauge, that air gauge, and I've never put air in a tire before.
Really? Okay.
Never. So, and I kind of panicked because I had a lot to do and I just picked up the boys. So we stopped off at the gas station. You got to pay for air. That's one thing I learned yesterday. You got to get your card out, swipe it for air. I mean, it was really kind of stressful.
For air.
You got to pay for air. It's so sad. I mean, it's so sad.
Oh,
so, I mean, it was really kind of stressful. And then my 11-year-old got out. He wanted to supervise. And we did not know what we were doing. So he was trying to get me to turn on YouTube. Mama, you can watch YouTube. They'll explain it to you. So that's one thing in 2023. I'm going to learn all about air in the tire. That's on my list, a goal in 2023. How to know how much air I have in the tire, how much needs to be in it, and how to put air in the tire.
Well, I'll confess, I have put air in a tire, but I didn't know how much. I think I put like 50 in it one time, 52 or something. And when I came down from the mountain, I was like up in Flagstaff. The guy was like, oh my gosh, your tire was about to explode probably because it was so full. And all the others were like, 35, 40. And this was like 52. He's like, good Lord. So I totally understand.
That's what I worried about. I'd heard that a tire will explode. So anyway.
And I have been in that same situation where it'll be like, all 3 tires are say 35, 42 or whatever. And then that other one's like 28. And you're like, I bet I could get to the grocery store. And then 5 days later, you're like, it's probably fine.
I know, you just forget about it. You're like out of sight, out of mind. Moving on. We're moving right along.
You know, we are moms. We are women. We have got to get things done, right?
Yes. Look, last night I took the little one to this kids giving event at the church.
Yeah.
Stephanie, you and I are both from these small southern towns. Okay, picture this. This church is enormous. 125, I served the chicken nuggets. 125 kids went through the line and they told me to put 6 nuggets on each plate.
That's an appetizer.
I was kind of a wreck trying to count out 6 nuggets on each plate, and 125 kids went through the line.
Like, I'm getting my calculator out. Like, how many is that? Okay, so
a lady started serving
6.
next to me, so she started helping. But I mean, can you believe that many kids? I mean, I'm used to like this tiny little church with maybe 15 kids show up for youth.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
750 nuggets. Oh, my gosh. Growing up in my small town of 2,000 people, there was not even a red light. And I, it was so funny because all of our churches used to be so small, and I don't know
Yeah.
what it was about it, but until I got married and actually we built a church in town, my dad was on the board and everything. We went to the smallest churches that started out as a gas station. Two different churches that I went to, the pump was out front still.
You had communion out at the pump when church was over. They're like, we'll meet y'all out at the
wine
pump.
grape juice.
And then we'll have communion out there.
And we'll just bring your bucket.
Oh my goodness, that is wild.
Oh my gosh.
That is so funny. And then we went to a wedding last weekend in Chattanooga. It was the most beautiful wedding, but it turned cold in Tennessee. I know it's probably still 102 in Arizona, but it was like 40, lower 40s, maybe upper 30s. And the wedding was outside. Ooh. And a lot of these women, I don't think, realized it was going to be outside, and they didn't bring a coat.
So they were shivering to death.
Yes, but I mean, they provided blankets. It was gorgeous. I cannot tell you how beautiful this wedding was. And the band was amazing. I mean, it was one of those nights that we shut down the party, Stephanie. We brought it home on the dance floor. We brought it home.
Oh, I bet you did. And the backdrop with the fall and all the beautiful colors on the leaves.
It was gorgeous. I mean, it was the most beautiful wedding. What did y'all do over the weekend? I didn't even ask you that before.
Well, let's see. My son, who is now 6'5" and 17, can you believe that? He is in cross country, and they went to state. So my kids came home from college, and I still have two at home. And they all got up at the crack of dawn because we bribed them with breakfast, like the best breakfast in town that Mama was not going to make. And we drove up and saw my son run at state. It was so much fun.
That is so fun. So how did he do?
Yeah, he did great. He broke one of his records. So that was it, though. That was it. That was the last one. And it's like football for me. I love to watch football, and I love to watch my kids in sports or what activities they're in. And it almost just feels like a grieving process, because when it's done for them, it's also done for you, in the stadium, out in the field, talking to the parents. I mean, I get probably more joy out of it than the kids do actually doing the thing.
Yeah, I understand. It's like, it's a whole community. It's the whole, everybody's cheering for everybody else's kids. And it's just but I'll tell you this, that reminds me, let me see if I can find this. So in my club Monday, we were talking about just different seasons in life. This might be a good thing for us to end with. I'm looking at our time. This will be a good thing to end with. We were talking about seasons in life, and we were talking about Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. And I'm going to read it. Do you mind if I read it?
Yes, do it. Go for it.
Okay. For everything, there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to cook and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to tear, and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. I just love that. I mean, this is beautiful. One of my favorites. My favorites. So
yeah, because seasons, good or bad, will not last forever, and there's a time to, just like with the kids and the things that they're involved with. I mean, there's a time for everything. So every season, good or bad, will not last forever. I think we just need to figure out what season we're in. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yes, that's what we were talking about. That's exactly what we were talking about, what season we're in and how seasons are constantly changing, constantly changing.
Yeah, they're leading and guiding us to the next thing, right? And sometimes those transitions are not easy getting to the next season. They can be awkward or scary, but just know there's going to always be change. It'll
That's
always be
right.
with us, right?
That's right. And we can do scary things.
Yes, absolutely. I just love our
Yes,
time together. This is
I
so
do
fun.
too. This was great. Well, I hope you have the best Thanksgiving with your family. I know it'll be beautiful and the turkey will be perfect. Well,
It
there's no such
won't.
thing as perfect, but
It'll
maybe
be
we
on
won't say
paper
perfect,
plates.
but you're going to get out the red Solo
Oh.
cups and there you go.
That's where the party begins.
Yes, yes. Well, I
All
love
right.
you and I've enjoyed it. Thank you for doing this today.
Love you too. Bye.